Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 498 for the week of Tuesday, April 27th, 2000 and... Why is Charlie's thing got a weird mic warning? What's up, Charlie? 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins. Hopefully Charlie sounds okay. Who else is here this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Hello.
Hey.
Toby's supposed to be joining. He's running a little late from work. Hopefully he's here soon. We're going to record. He'll join when he can. Back half of this podcast is going to be all Falcon Winter Soldier spoilers. So if you want to avoid that, you probably want to check out after, 20, 30 minutes or so. We have some news stories to cover this week. And then we'll get right into Falcon and Winter Soldier. And gonna get our first little break for MCU stuff for quite a while. So
Quite a while.
July?
No, it isn't. Loki June?
Yeah.
End of June?
No, it's like the beginning of June.
Is it?
I don't
Well, a month and change. I think it just talks
it's
about
June 11th.
June 11th. Yeah, it's like 5 weeks off. That's the longest you're going to get forever. So,
Well, you've got don't you have the Bad Batch to fill in your off weeks?
I have not watched enough Clone Wars or Rebels to now watch Bad Batch. I need to catch up on those. We'll get to that. We got some new solicitations out, meaning we get some new books being announced, some new stuff coming up, and there's a couple things that I thought was worth touching upon here. First, this is purely this comic book podcast that we are on here. We're all big fans of it. All of us have been waiting since like the 1986 or 1987 for the greatest day to ever happen. And it finally is here after almost 40 long years. Blue Beetle and Booster Gold are getting their own comic book, their own team-up comic book.
Yes.
We are finally here. Super Buddies are back. We thought they were dead. New 52 couldn't keep them away. Rebirth couldn't keep them away. Heroes in Crisis couldn't keep them away. Blue and Gold, baby.
I love how you're like qualifying all these things that actually did manage to keep them away for this long.
But they're back now. Well, first of all, Kevin, let me tell you about this series real quick. So first of all, Dan Jurgens is writing it.
Yeah.
And Ryan Sook is involved. So,
right. So the betting pool, let's activate right now. How many issues in a row does Ryan Sook illustrate? And I don't mean a page, I mean the whole issue.
So this 8-issue miniseries.
Yep.
I thought 8? It was probably going to be 6.
Well, no, it'll be 8 issues.
Yeah, because Dan Jurgens will draw the rest of it.
How many does he illustrate fully, cover to cover? Yeah.
Fully cover to cover, 2. Yep. 2 in a row.
Whoa.
He will do 1 and 2.
And then he'll be like 2 pages here, 2 pages there.
Yeah.
Like Legion.
Covers. Yeah. Just because Ryan Sook, I don't know if it's speed. I don't know if it's inability to focus. I don't know what his deal is, but he can't. What was the last book he did more than 3 or 4 issues in a row on? I don't. Slightest idea. I have no clue.
Wow. That's a tough trivia question.
Yeah. I mean, you have to go back and look. I'm sure it's been. But he did work on the Spectre series, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the Spectre with DeMatteis, right?
Yeah.
But that was only like 4 issues.
Yeah, maybe he did all 4 of them in a row, monthly. That's all, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while.
He did the Zatanna, but that was like 20 years ago. The Grant Morrison Zatanna.
Oh, he did all 4 issues on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's probably the last time.
The 7 Soldiers one?
Yeah.
Desperate to regain the spotlight, Booster Gold looks to attract the public and the Justice League's attention the same way any washed-up second-rate hero would be on social media. Kevin, it's going to be all TikTok and the gram.
Well, you hate that shit.
I do, but it's also Blue Beetle, so it should be gloriously corny and out of touch. And I love it. Literally, people have been asking for a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold team-up series as long as I've been reading comics, and
we've mentioned it numerous times on this podcast in the 10 years we've been recording.
Stoked that we're finally getting this.
Well, just so we have a bet, just to make it fun, I'm going to go out on a limb here of a leap of faith and say they have several issues in the can before they announced it. And I'm going to say Sook does, how many issues is it total? 8? 6.
Ooh.
Okay. But so there's just like random fill-in issues somewhere, random half an issue here.
Yeah.
He does. Okay. Yeah,
it's probably going to end up, since you said 2, I said 6, you know it's going to end up being 4.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if they're going to let him get to 6, it would be really weird for them not to
yeah, right.
just do the final 2, even if it has to be delayed.
Yeah, I'd love to know exactly what the deal is, because that Legion series was so odd. I liked it, but it was just, I wasn't sure if Bendis had like a clear plan. He had a story, but it kind of didn't gel into a full vision. There's cool issues in there, but I just feel like he got way off track after like the first like 2 issues. So, but it's Legion, so it's great. I gotta give DC props. You know, they've remembered, they've done some of the most some of the biggest and most influential things in other mediums like television and cartoons and movies before. So we're getting
video games.
We're getting So we're getting the Batman '89 comic. We're getting the Superman comic. We've had the Batman Adventure Continues, and now we're getting Justice League Infinity, which is and let's talk about J.M. DeMatteis. They're going to do a comic based in the world of Justice League Unlimited, and I think this is cool. This is definitely one of those books that
I was just going to say, I find it interesting that it's in the world of Justice League Unlimited, but the press release I read for it focused on the 7 core members of Justice League.
That's from that's from the first arc, right? But it is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are the same thing. It just expands the roster. They can have more characters in there.
Yeah,
because one of the pages has Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Elongated Man, Red Tornado, Atom, Blue Beetle. So like they're clearly going to
the original Justice League, those are the founding members, and that's why there were a couple of episodes, even of Unlimited, where it kind of focused on getting the founding members back to an adventure. But it, for the most part, Justice League Unlimited was all about the pairing a founding member with a bunch of other members. They very rarely had screen time or stories with founding members together. Or at least not the entire founding members, more than 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, I just think, these worlds, these stories are so ripe for additional material. I remember when Marvel made that X-Men 92 comic. It was fucking horrible. But the potential there was really strong. Like that, it is crazy that they don't have an X-Men cartoon comic.
Yeah.
One of their most popular comics of all time. And it's actually, they've tried a few times, those like tie-in MCU comics and it's so weird that they don't have a series of MCU comics. Maybe they just don't want to get involved with the story elements of that and have them
I was going to say
non-canon or whatever, but
it's a lot easier to continue a world that's already kind of been retired than one that's fully active.
Yeah, that's true. It just feels like they're missing something. But then DC could say the same, right? I mean, there's no like Snyder Cut comic series, so I don't know that
you don't want the Grant Morrison cut.
I don't know. As much as and don't get me wrong, like I love the Adventure Continues. I'm super happy they're doing that for Justice League now and stuff. I would say that they have never retired that style. Like they're always new OGNs that absolutely use the animated series style for both Justice League and Batman. Like, there's never been a point in time where I felt like that world or style was completely gone from books.
Yeah, I just like that they're doing multiple of them at the same time. That we're getting all these different interpretations of both the movies
it's also
and the
nice
animated.
to have something that's considered more of a official continuation versus we're just stealing the style because it's recognizable.
Right. Well, I know a lot of the DC animated movies took the Batman animated series kind of look, but they were not in that world.
Not many of them. I mean,
a couple of them.
Yeah. And I want to say the one they did with the Legion was supposed to be in that world.
Was it really?
I think so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, they at least made a big enough deal about getting the voice people back, and Bruce Timm was involved in making it. And
yeah, I'm
really choosing to believe the Harley was not in that world. I don't know if it technically was in that world, but I'm choosing to believe it was not.
That Legion one was okay. I like the idea behind it, but
it's Legion. It's great.
Well, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, so Justice League Infinity, that seems really neat. The other big DC one that we got, there's a pretty big change up to the Superman family of books. And I think a lot of people assume this was going to happen just based on some story arcs that were going on. And some leaks from, well, it's not really leaks, but some listings from Penguin Random House on Amazon and some books coming out later in this year. Well, we got all our official announcements. They are ending the traditional Superman title that Brian Michael Bendis was writing, and it is going to be replaced with Superman, Son of Kal-El by Tom Taylor and John Timms, which is all about Jonathan Kent. So Superman is going to be off-world for a little while, and his kid is going to take over as the Superman of Metropolis. This is sort of foreshadowed or kind of not even foreshadowed. Like, it was straight up told in Future State. So clearly this was one of those stories they were going to lead to eventually. I don't know how this is going to play out long term. I kind of assume this is not a 10-year plan. 15-year plan with.
I feel like we've talked about this point over and over and over every time somebody else is Batman for a while or whatnot. It just yeah.
Well,
it's just a typical pattern.
Yeah, in Future State, the whole idea was that this wasn't just like 6 months from now. It was years down the road, and so I'm just not sure if I quite buy that John Kent's going to be Superman for the next 8-10 years, whatever. I don't. Brock, do you have the timeline? What year does the John Kent Superman Future State books take place? I don't remember. Do you remember what year it is? I don't remember.
It was because
Batman
was the 5-year mark.
Was it? Batman was fairly close.
Well, because they were all like 5-10 years. I think they had a 5-year, and then they had like a 15-year. And the 5-year was Jonathan or Superman Metropolis or Man of Metropolis. Was that?
Yeah.
And that's the one where he teams up with Wonder Girl, the new Wonder Woman. And then House of L takes place even further.
Well, that's different. Yeah, that's way in the future. Yeah, but they had the 2 Superman books. They were in the future, but not 20, 30 years, but it wasn't like next year. Like they were quite a ways in the future. But I love one of my favorite parts of this is the Superman Son of Kal-El, the Superman #1 homage cover, which is going to be kind of the main cover here of the comic. I do love that. I always do love those covers. But no, do not worry. Superman is not going away forever. Clark Kent will be continuing his fight against War World, which is what the current arc is. And so that's why he's leaving. He's going to be gone for a while.
Yeah, that's been going on in the comics for a little bit. Like, that story's just started to unravel.
Yeah, that's been this current story arc. Philip Kennedy Johnson's continuing writing Action Comics, so his storyline is continuing just as is. Superman and the Authority by Grant Morrison and where is it? Grant Morrison and Mikhail Hanin. So they are going to be doing the that team up book, and so that got leaked. Again, not leaked. It just got its advanced listing from like Amazon, and Penguin Random House. People were like, Grant Morrison's writing a Superman book, so now we know exactly what that is. Clearly we'll find out more what their plan is with that, and that's great. I mean, he obviously didn't leave DC for too long, so Morrison's already back. Just what else even came out
of his?
Yeah,
he just did Green Lantern.
Yeah, but past that,
nothing. He just did Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's sort of weird that he would leave DC to then immediately come back and work for DC. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. Manchester Black, Midnighter, Apollo, Enchantress, Natasha Irons. I like that. Light Ray, OMAC. That's a cool team. That's a bizarro team. But yeah, we'll see what's up with that. And Mikhail Hanin's fantastic, so I love his artwork.
So far, it sounds more like Elite than Authority, though.
Right.
He's adding to the Superman mythos, right? Because he's written Superman, and he has this huge overarching story for Superman dating back to like his time on JLA.
Oh yeah, I don't know what. If this is a drawing from something, or he just wants to do Superman and the Authority, a new take. Because we've seen a number of the Wildstorm guys come back. Grifter's obviously been around quite a bit in the Batman books.
Yep.
And Midnighter's back, one of the backups in action. So great to see Superman and the Authority and Morrison working on books. We did mention this a couple weeks back, and also part of it is Tom King and Bilquis Evely, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow book, which again looks fantastic. So,
who's the artist on that one again?
Bilquis Evely.
Okay,
she did Dreaming and a few other.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, what else? She did something else. Kevin, what was the other? Book after Dreaming.
Man. Dude, you should have been ready for the quiz. You didn't know? Pop quiz, hot shot.
I just totally drawing a blank what the other book was.
People are screaming at the thing. All I can picture is the Dreaming. What else? Every time I think of her art, I think of the Dreaming.
Yeah, there was another book. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Well,
she did. She's done little things like in the Wonder Woman 750. Yeah. Wasn't she in that?
Yeah, I think she did some work on Wonder Woman too. A Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Oh my God, Tom King. Oh, I'm super excited for that. And that's 8 issues too, so that's a little shorter than the normal 12 issue runs that he does. So, big changes to Superman. And all very exciting books. Very, very exciting. I overall like what Bendis did. I know some people are not really a fan of the aging up of John Kent, but I'm happy to see where this goes. I think Bendis had a pretty good run. There was stuff I didn't like as much as others, but
there was stuff that was hard to look at.
Well, yeah, that's different. But overall, I liked his run on Superman. But the current stuff has been great. All the Philip Kennedy Johnson issues have been great so far. So, looking forward to that. Not to leave Marvel out, they had this is maybe more of a bigger deal than a lot of people realize. Marvel Comics is teaming up with Viz Media, and a bunch of those. So a couple months back, year ago maybe, Marvel teamed up with Viz to do some Marvel manga where they would put their they licensed out comics to Viz to do Japanese manga style versions of some of their characters. And so now some of that stuff's going to come back here from last year, and new volumes of those books are going to start coming out in English. So there's the Marvel Meow, which is a Spider-Man cat.
Yeah,
what's that?
Black Cat.
Well, it's what's his face? For Captain Marvel.
Oh, the
Flurkin, yeah.
Flurkin,
yeah. Chewie, that's his name.
Okay.
Her name, Chewie. It's her. Goose, if you like the movie. So they're doing an OGN with that, where Chewie goes around and has fun adventures with Spider-Man and other characters.
Just eating stuff.
I'm sure. The Deadpool Samurai book is one of the big ones. It was a web manga, and it was from the Shonen Jump mobile app, but we're getting like an actual print comic version of that. And they crossed over with My Hero Academia, which is if you guys don't know what that is, it is one of the biggest manga and anime out there. It's a humongous book, and that's a very, very big deal. That should a little bit like that Batman Fortnite comic. I expect a pretty dramatic amount of people to come out.
I was gonna segue somehow into that.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who will come out for this because it's a very unique crossover.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you're going to have the My Hero Academia people actually advertising it when you're supposed to be advertising it versus Epic, which didn't advertise it at all until 3 days before it was supposed to be in stores.
Yeah. I mean, this is all coming out through Viz and Marvel, so they're going to promote this properly because it's print material.
This is like
Toby just rolling in just in time for me to explain the plot of Deadpool Samurai. It follows the Merc with the Mouth as he's transported to feudal Japan, just like the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Turtles in Time live-action movie. I know that is Toby's favorite of the Turtles movies. He's told me so many times about how he would just watch that night in, night out, over and over.
I watched it 2 times. Once originally, and then
just to make sure it was as bad as you thought.
No, because I bought it on DVD like years later. Well, maybe 3 times. I think I watched it in the theater once on VHS, and then again on DVD like years later.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it once. It was not great.
It was not good. If NECA makes those damn figures with them in the samurai armor, I absolutely got my money because that actually does look kind of cool.
The other one is called Secret Reverse by the...
I'm not done.
Okay.
It does have really cool Casey Jones scenes. So it does have that. I'm done.
White guy in feudal Japan.
No, he stayed in New York because they swapped.
Does he?
Yeah, it was the 4 samurais that, came over because the turtles went over to Japan.
That's right.
And then he had to take care of like these feudal Japanese guys in modern times. He had to like babysit them.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And it was the original Casey Jones, too, from the first movie.
There's also a book called Secret Reverse, which is by the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is, features a big team of Iron Man, Spider-Man, and all the Avengers characters. And that one, that's more kind of a younger audience book. I'm not sure how... I'm sure that will do great for its intended audience, but maybe not something that would work for us. But Deadpool Samurai, I legitimately think is going to be... I want to see how they handle that character because definitely a lot of manga and anime can be wacky, and Deadpool is wacky in a very unique way. And I want to see how that works if it translates well.
I'm just gonna flip through it to see what the exaggerated fonts for noises are.
Oh yeah,
and sounds.
Of course.
He'll have stickers everywhere.
So there was a Deadpool book, like the Deadpool Kill Illustrator or something, where he went through and just crossed over with a bunch of like classic literary characters.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I would love if they did that, like through anime characters. Like the Viz manga has a huge library of like characters and stuff. I would love that.
Yeah.
Deadpool kills the Viz universe.
I think he would have trouble killing the Viz universe, but it would be amusing to see him try.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have every single big manga, but the vast majority of the big shonen manga all come from Viz, and they are an absolute juggernaut.
It would basically be the equivalent of Deadpool going around trying to kill Superman when you get into just the amount of power level of characters that exist within manga and such.
I need a Deadpool versus One Punch Man.
Yes.
That's what I want.
That would be amazing.
That'd be very funny. Finally got a little bit of movie, TV news to talk about before we get to our big conversation on Falcon Winter Soldier. This one should make most people happy, I think. Spider-Man is coming to Disney Plus in 2022, I believe they said. Oh, so that's all right. Yeah, 2022. Sony and Disney reached an unprecedented deal.
It was bigger than their last unprecedented deal?
Programming across all its platforms for all sorts of different stuff. But Sam Raimi's movies, the two Amazing Spider-Man movies, Homecoming, Far From Home, and the new one will all be on Disney Plus as of 2022, and then No Way Home and everything from 2022 to 2026 as well.
But they lost the cartoon.
Yeah, I saw that. What's up with that? Do you know?
No, that's why I was asking. I was curious. I don't know what's up with that.
Maybe it's off and then it comes back as part of this. Yeah.
I don't know. Sony... I found this news weird because it was not long ago, like weeks ago, where they announced the big Sony Netflix thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm curious to see how that works, because as far as I know, the Sony Netflix thing is in effect at the same time. So I get the impression this stuff is going to be on Netflix for a while, and then once that window ends, then it's going to be on Disney Plus. But
I'm gonna quote here from the Newsround article I'm reading. It says that will include eventually Spider-Man: No Way Home. As part of the deal, movies released from 2022 to 2026 will be eligible to stream on Disney's service after the 18th month window from Sony's own deal with Netflix, or when it expires. So it'll be first 18 months on Netflix, and then after that, it'll be on Disney Plus. And that includes things like Morbius, the Uncharted movie, as well as Jumanji.
They're still releasing the Morbius movie? I completely forgot that thing existed.
Yeah. It's this year. Isn't it this year? I think it's this year. I think it's like October or something.
Yeah.
It's already been filmed and all that, so...
Oh, no. Maybe they moved it to 2022? They moved it to January 21st, 2022. So that leaves Hulk as the only MCU movie that will not be available on Disney Plus.
It's on Paramount Plus. It's on at least one Plus.
Yeah, I still don't know. I mean, it probably is. I wonder if they have it on there. I wonder if they have the rights to have it on there. Because they were like the distributor of it, so I don't know how that works for showing it on streaming. I should look and see if it's streaming anywhere.
I can answer that right now as we speak. Do you mean streaming for free or streaming to rent?
No, on one of the, well, not for free, but in one of the
it is nowhere for free. You have to pay. It's a paid rental.
So you have to get it on like iTunes or something.
Yeah, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, etc.
Okay. Yeah.
That's okay. Historically, it's been one of the cheapest MCU movies to buy.
Yeah, the 4K was like $10 or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can't imagine Sony will ever give up Spider-Man, but Disney's gonna. It'll feel like Disney owns them. I think is the goal here. It feels like all the Spider-Man stuff will be on Disney Plus, even if it's not actually theirs. And finally, they cast the full cast of Paper Girls. So this is going to be a Amazon show based on Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang's graphic novel series. Well, graphic novel series, Jesus Christ, comic book series. It's just graphic novels in this Deadline headline. They're not graphic novels. Come on, Deadline. They're comic books.
I mean, that's pretty much how people read it.
Stop being so snooty. I don't know. I don't know the actresses from anything. So, but they're kids, which is what the book's about. So hopefully they're good. I didn't finish reading Paper Girls. I read the first maybe 12, 14 issues or so. Maybe the first 2 volumes. Is very weird. It gets weird. It gets very weird very quickly. So I want to go and see how they wrap it up before that.
I would say it escalates sci-fi basically.
Yeah.
Like as the series goes on, they just go more and more sci-fi.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's felt a little like Stranger Things. Just they amped up the space and sci-fi aspect versus more of the horror monster aspect.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of paper delivery girls in late 80s who meet themselves, like future versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And
antics ensue.
Yeah, hijinks ensue. Yeah. I like the idea of them sort of like, playing against fate, like, are we going to actually become these people?
Yeah. You're just going to watch it for the music.
Oh, it better have good music. So help me God, if some hit from like 1989 is on here, I'm out. Sorry, Amazon. I'm done. I'm going to cancel Prime. You better not fuck me up.
Add that to Ryan's quick trigger response with the Hawkeye goons saying bro. If they say bro more than 2 times, he's out.
Bro. Nope. I have a 5 bro limit.
Okay, sorry, it's 5.
If the opening episode of Hawkeye, the bros say bro 5 times, I'm out.
He's out and canceling Disney Plus.
I'm out. We'll go that far.
He's not canceling Disney Plus. He's just changing it to Leanne's name, just like you would change Prime to Leanne's name, and then to be done with it.
A 5 bro minimum. Maximum.
I can't wait till like the first episode, just the after credit scene is just those guys saying bro to set up the next episode.
If the first spoken piece of dialogue in the Hawkeye TV show is the word bro, if that is the first spoken line, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm just going to turn it off and just be like, I understand what this show is. It is not for me, and walk away. That's fine. It's okay. Shows don't have to be for everyone. We'll see. Hawkeye is still a little bit. Do they date? I don't know if they have a date for Paper Girls.
We know what it's doing. It's taking somebody away from another book.
It's filming this year, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have a date for when they want it out.
If they stay faithful to that comic, that's gonna be a crazy expensive show.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't.
Or
see
they just go the really, really hokey.
Oh yeah.
And then it won't be that expensive.
And make it look like an 80s sci-fi movie.
Exactly. If they just make it look like an 80s sci-fi movie or show, that would be perfect, and it would not cost them a lot.
Yeah.
Now that I'm okay with. I'm okay with.
Oh, Legends of Tomorrow.
Did you see Legends of Tomorrow? I didn't. I saw this right when we started recording. They're doing an animated episode. That's kind of cool. We'll see what they do with that. It's like a puppet episode. Now they're doing animated episodes. Down with that. See what happens. All right. We are going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier here. So if you have not seen the finale, you probably want to skip for a little bit because it's going to be all spoilers. We got a lot to say here. So I think we've given people enough of a break. We are going to talk about the wrap up and kind of some news that came out after the show premiered or after the finale premiered. Because there's a bunch of news for the future of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Well, mostly Falcon. So
hold on. Let's preempt. Ryan, you rewatched the whole thing.
I did. I rewatched the whole thing. Yep.
So, whoa, Mister, I can't finish Daredevil, and you went back and rewatched something you didn't like.
I wanted to see
if he really didn't like it.
I wanted to see if some things were better watching them in a shorter time frame. And I will fully admit, the pacing and flow of the first and fifth episode that I had some problems with the first episode. I had major problems with the fifth episode on the initial viewing. They do work slightly better when you watch them kind of. It's like 4 hours long. I mean, it's not that long. It's like 6 40-minute episodes. It's not like
just like the Snyder Cut. You just have your breaks at these certain points.
Yeah, it's not 13, 14 hours or anything like that. It's a fairly quick. It goes fairly quick. It's a really long movie. I think they messed up by not doing the first 2 and last 2 episodes together. I understand they probably don't want to, it's only 6 episodes at that point. Why not just put them all out or whatever? I get it. But the pacing on that first episode, there's just not a lot. It's a lot of setup, which is fine. But when that's the end of the first episode and nothing else happens, this is a weakness of the television format. And my kind of thinking that I'm wondering if these are more movie people and the television format is maybe giving them some issues. That was sort of my thinking, because I found the first episode, when you have 2 and 3 immediately following, it works a little bit better because you're not just like, well, nothing happened. And a little bit of episode 5 too, having it going immediately from the finale of 4 into 5. Again, it flows a little bit better because the big fight with U.S. Agent, it just flows naturally from where the previous episode left off. Whereas the opening scene for a television show, that doesn't really work. But as just the following scene in a 4-hour-long movie, it works much better. So I would recommend, if you did have maybe some problems with the pacing of the show, like I did, rewatch them kind of one sitting. I did it in 2 sittings. And I do feel that it is paced more like a bingeable show or a movie. That said, that is still a problem because it's not. It's a television show. It's a television show, 6 episodes over 6 weeks. So that is a flaw in the show. But as far as how it works when you're trying to sit down and watch the whole thing, it does work a little bit better. So that's that. But I don't know.
Hey, you want to take a walk down a bridge?
I don't know if any of that stuff could fix episode 6, though. And I don't want to be the only one talking here, so please, I want other people to get involved in this, because God knows I've already had the internet yelling at me enough.
Okay. I'll take the first shot here.
Go for it, Brock.
2 things that screamed out at me, and this is just I mean, I understand what they were doing with it. I get why they were going in this direction. It spoiler, power broker Sharon Carter, like, I think we established that last week, that it's, okay.
I mean, that's a whole, that's like almost like, I don't even want to start with that. Like, that could just be the end.
The end. But one thing that I think just really stood out to me was just how, like, the USA agent, like, the last time you see him is getting dressed in the USA agent suit at the trial location.
Just US agent.
Oh yeah,
no double A's.
Okay. He goes in the back room where, I don't know, the people hang out before they do the trial thing. Like, why was that scene there? Like, what purpose?
Because they had Julie Louis-Dreyfus for like 2 hours on one day.
Yeah, and that explains him having to run back to the warehouse at the beginning of episode 5 to go fight them, because they had that warehouse for a limited period of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to hear anyone ever complain about Arrow having every fight scene in a warehouse again, because the MCU does it too, okay? Just like 3/4 of the show takes place in the same warehouse.
I think legit,
whatever.
They rented out a warehouse, probably something like that was in the Childish Gambino, music video, and just set up things in different areas and just shot like that stuff, and they were done.
I mean, those are weird nitpicky problems that we'll get to. But I mean, the bulk of the story revolves around the villain, Carly, the Flag Smashers, and again, having rewatched the whole show, the biggest problem I have with the show is how little it ever shows you anything. It is almost entirely characters telling you about things that have happened and pretty vague about why they're good or bad. I think the best scenes in the show are the scenes with Isaiah Bradley, because those are, while it is just telling you, they are very personal stories. They are going through a series of events. He is describing much more detail than any other character in any other scene about why the things that happened to him were bad. And it works, and it's great. The acting's great. It doesn't feel weird or forced or cliched. It feels emotional. It's heartbreaking. It's hard to listen to. It's great. It's great stuff. By far and away the best stuff in the show. And then you get one world, one people. What?
Yeah.
I understand they wanted to engage the conversation of the plight of the refugee. But it doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. She one time explains their plot, why the Flag Smashers are doing the things they're doing. It's in the second episode. They never expand on it. They never talk more about it. It's these very vague, one world, one people. Like, this lady that's never been introduced dies. You should feel sad. These horrible things are happening, and we're not going to tell you about them or show them to you. The world is fucked up. It was better during the blip, but we're not going to tell you why or how or show you why or show you how. We are just going to say the world was better. Well, like, you're not selling me on any of this. I was hoping for something in that final episode for them to come around to be like, look, this is what has happened. This is what they've taken from us. This is the series of events. Not only that, they go from, okay, we're going to kind of make Carly this, unexpected leader of this kind of ragtag group of freedom fighters. And then they're just like, oh, wait, no, she's just a murderer and a terrorist and completely irredeemable. And, there's a scene, I think it's in the fourth episode, where they're like, oh, GRC, the Global Repopulation?
Yes, GRC? That's it.
That's it. Yeah, GRC. Yeah. Where they're like, we're gonna, they've been holding on those supplies for 6 months. We're gonna break in and take the supplies. For who? Why? For these other people? Like, the whole point of them is the GRC's helping other people that are in the camps. Maybe not your camp, but they're helping other people. Like, the whole point of this is that they're doing all this stuff. And then you incapacitate them. Okay. And then you fucking blow them up? Like, are we supposed to sympathize with this? None of this makes...
Can you tell me, Ryan, that who are the Flag Smashers? Are they people that blipped? Are they people that didn't blip? Are they a combination of all of it? Like, what are they?
They are so very quickly explained in one episode. They are people who did not blip, who think life was better during the blip and want to go back to how things were. They do not explain how they're going to go back. They do not explain why it was better. They do not explain why things were better or what actions they're going to take. They don't
necessarily explain what actions they're going to take. It's not like they're offering a real solution. But right. The reason why it was better is because all the borders kind of broke down, because all the infrastructure and stuff was built around having a certain amount of people, so they welcome everybody in. People come back, and now they're going back to, nope, we have to put up all these borders again and kick these people out, even though they've lived here for 5 years and helped our society flourish, etc. But at the end of the day, it's we don't want to be kicked out of our homes that we've lived in for 5 years just because the people who were here before us came back.
The resources increased exponentially. So half of the population goes away. You now have housing that is just, everyone has housing at this point, right? You can walk into a house, pick your own, and go. But now that people are coming back, we're back to the scarcity stuff. We're back to not having enough. And so, like, I understand where they were coming from, but I don't understand, like, we don't see any of that. We don't see them being thrown out. We don't see them.
Well, I don't think we need to see them being thrown out. I think the problem I have with it is just going around and saying you can't kick us out of our homes doesn't actually offer a solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, both sides are kind of fucked in the situation, basically.
Yeah. The idea, and this is where I think some people got me wrong. The plot is very interesting and could be great. To me, it's so much of the execution. And I feel like they do not, in any way, shape, or form, explain anything they need to have anyone come to any of the conclusions they do in this show of why. We'll get to Falcon's speech and the whole bit there later. So they are terrorists. They should be fought. If they were walking around in T-shirts that said Thanos is right, I would understand that. They are sociopaths. If they are anarchists, I would understand that. I would be like, okay, I understand. I obviously don't agree, but I understand this plot. I understand that these are people that are like, when the blip happened and all these people were gone, we could live like kings. We could do whatever we wanted to. We want to just start killing people. Thanos was right. Let's just fucking start executing people and get back to where we were. Understandable. Again, I don't agree with it clearly, but that is the plot of a villain I understand. That is give me Malekith and give me Whiplash because they are basic. They are villains for villains' sakes, and I don't need this big, long backstory. I understand that. When you're trying to do this, when you're trying to be very nuanced and have something like, well, it's way more shades of gray, this struggles on both sides, that is very difficult to do, and I feel in this show they failed miserably.
Well, the tone of the blip, right, is almost dystopian. Because in the movies...
But it wasn't. You see them, and everything's not great, but everything's fine during the blip.
That's after, like, they got everything back in order. But the thing is like, there was, like, when people are sitting in the groups and they're talking about what they lost and the people that they lost, right?
Of course, that's understandable.
They show us more of a, like, when Ant-Man goes to find his daughter and she's grown up, the street's all derelict and not taken care of, right?
Yeah, like, but they weren't living in, like, fucking Mad Max times. Like, things were fine.
No. I'm not talking, like, that dystopian. I'm talking about, like, I mean, like you said, borders fell, infrastructures fell. The stuff is there. You can, if you know how to do it, you can pick it up and continue. But having that break down, right? Well, now we might not have enough people to do the jobs that need to be done, or enough. Like, there's a ton of stuff going on, but we never see that world.
Right? Yeah. If they wanted, again, the idea is great. I want a TV show during the blip, showing what happens, showing how things break down, explaining this stuff, because we don't get a second of it. We don't see it at all in this show. And that, to me, it's like, you can't have a sympathetic villain without giving us a reason to be sympathetic. The lady, her friend that dies, does not have 1 second of screen time alive. I can't, like, there's no relationship to this character. you know, they're random huddled masses that she's helping, that she's like, we love you. We're going to protect you. Why? She's some juiced up super soldier lady that ripped off. She somehow everything got blipped. She somehow ends up in Madripoor, somehow ends up stealing the super soldier serum, and then does this all in like a really short amount of time.
Don't forget, she worked for Sharon as the power broker, and that's how she knew about all this. Well, that's
she
the thing.
Would have been like 14 years old. Why? How did she get there? Why was she working for her? What was she doing? Why would she have access to the fucking experimental super soldier serum? Like, let's give Sharon Carter a few minutes.
Oh, we're going to give Sharon Carter a lot of fucking time.
Like, we'll get there. But like, yeah, it's just, none of it makes a lick of sense. None of it. She's not sympathetic in any fashion. She's a murderer. She's a terrorist. I can't sympathize with this. And so that, unfortunately, I understand Falcon's comments early in the show. He's like, these are trouble. These people are going through stuff, blah, 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 right? Totally understandable. His speech at the end was rough, to say the least. Kevin, you're laughing, man. You're laughing. You sent me an article. You said, you were like, you said, do not read this if you have not watched it. And I was like, I haven't watched it. I'm watching it tonight. And you said, okay, read this article after. You sent me a link to a Rolling Stone interview, which I read afterwards. Review, which I read afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, 100%. Everything they say in this is 100% accurate. That speech at the end is one of the more baffling choices I think I've seen them make in the MCU. Again, I understand where they're coming from. I understand the intent. But when you have Falcon defending a terrorist and a mass murderer, I don't think it doesn't come off the way they think it does. The things he's saying are right, but he's saying it about the wrong person. Am I wrong?
The whole speech, I was just like, oh dear God, they're going to have him now do a speech about.
I mean, it's super corny, but whatever. It's fine.
It's not that the thing is, it's not that it's corny. These are things and topics that for the love of God, humanity has not even scratched the surface of getting to a solution on. And we're in the 20th century, and we still have these stupid problems. Like, we still have racism and hate and all of this stuff and bigotry, and it's overwhelming. And the thing is like, I think what they were doing was trying to explain how people get radicalized with the flag smashers, and yet doing such a horrible job that by the end you're like, I don't care. And then you make a huge speech about the thing that nobody now cares about.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The parts of the speech that were about the way people are going to react to him in the costume was very strong and very well done.
Yes.
The aspects that I feel like it fell short is they obviously were trying to portray the flag smashers one way, and they failed in that. Like, if you look at sort of the story and the way Falcon related to the flag smashers through the entire story, he saw them in a different light. He saw them as people who were displaced, that the system was letting down, and he could sympathize with that. But they did not match his view of them with their actual actions very well at all. Like, exactly. You would see a little bit of that when he would interact with her, like at the service and that kind of stuff, until somebody else would mess it up. Like, you could see him actually reaching these people to say, we do need to solve this, but this isn't the way to do it. And then everything would kind of go wrong. So I don't really have a problem with his speech. I have a problem with the way that they failed to utilize the flag smashers the way they intended to.
And that's what I mean. Failed, he's telling people, give these people a chance, but the things he's saying about them is not accurate to the situation of what was going on. Like,
So for me, that's more of a problem with the Flag Smashers and the way that they chose to, because you're focusing on the speech and stuff where I think where they really failed was the Flag Smashers themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the story they were trying to tell, everything was there if they had handled the Flag Smashers correctly.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not the content of the speech. It's what the speech was painful because of the people he was talking about and the situation he was talking about did not work. So he's trying. They were like, "Oh, you have to defend this indefensible action." And if the Flag Smasher story arc was stronger, and we cared about them in any regard, then the speech would have worked much better.
Yes.
So the things he was saying didn't work because the example he was using doesn't work.
I think that the stories, movies, comics, novels, theater, whatever, that pay off narratively and emotionally, the stories that can do both of those things, that's when you are king or queen of the world as the writer. Oftentimes we have to settle for one or the other. Sometimes it's like 60-40, 80-20, 100-0. And I think this show, and at the final analysis, definitely went for the emotional payoff at the expense of the narrative payoff. Because it did hit some emotional beats, and it was really powerful in parts. But if you didn't see the acting, if I just handed you this script and said, read this and tell me what you think of this story, you'd go, wait, what? WTF? Wait, huh? And you'd be flipping back and forward and trying to put things together because there's just stuff that doesn't work. Since we're going to talk about Sharon Carter, I'll just tell you two things that really didn't work for me, and Ryan's going to be shocked at one of them, guaranteed. Zemo. Now, wait.
Okay. Tell me why.
He's sarcastic. He's funny. He was a great character. Why was he in this show? He started off the show in prison. They broke him out. At the end of the show, he's in prison. So in between those two, what did having Zemo accomplish? He got them to Madripoor. That's it.
Well,
he stepped on this. Yeah, he stepped on the serum. Anyone could have done that. I'm saying something that only Zemo could do.
He was basically giving them he was trying to explain to them what the Flag Smashers were. Like, these are.
But you don't need him for that.
But you don't need him for that. And
no.
When he's explaining all of it, and you're seeing these people, you're seeing people that are in a sense seem like they're squatting, right? And yet, like, they're trying to say we have a culture, we have this. When they're educating those kids, but when everybody comes in, they run away. There's nothing.
That's.
I said the Zemo thing. I love him.
Yes, I did too.
But it is a long walk to get nowhere.
Right. And even when it sets up some kind of a twist when he talks to that little girl and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you this candy. Don't tell those guys where the funeral is. Just tell it to me. Those guys are the enemy. And then in the next scene, they're all walking to the funeral together.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's the point of that then?
Again, like I said,
at the end of Civil War, Zemo is mourning his lost country and his family, and he's in prison. The last scene in this, the penultimate scene, he's at the memorial mourning his lost country and family, and then he's in prison. So did
I ask this? Why did they bring him to the raft? Did I ask this last episode?
You asked it rhetorically. Nobody had an answer.
But
the same thing.
Prison.
I loved watching him, but at the end, I'm like, and I know you guys disagree, so we don't need to get into it again. I'm like, you had such a great character locked and loaded at the end of Civil War, and then you just turned him. He was funny, and I liked watching him, but he didn't advance in any way past what we saw before.
Yeah,
I kind of had the same problem. I probably had the same problem with John Walker at the end of, what was it, 5, where he's been stripped of the thing. He's met Madam Hydra. He's like fiendishly making that shield. And then in this episode, or in 6, he's back and he's fighting with the heroes against the Flag Smashers again.
Horrible, Captain.
So what the hell happened? What was the point of stripping him of the title and all of that?
Like I said, there are there's a good overarching plot.
Yeah.
But the execution is so lacking. The other characters in the finale, right? First of all, have we said the word Bucky one time this entire thing? Why is he even in the show? Bucky shouldn't even be in the show at this point, right?
Everything that's said
because it's about Captain America's legacy, which if there's
they
two people in the
Bucky.
MCU,
yeah, but they sidelined
would care the most about Cap's legacy, basically, and
they sidelined Bucky so fast, though.
Well, I wish we hadn't seen John Walker after the end of episode 5 again. Because he's a hero again in 6, and then he's like giggling and jumping around when he's got the suit on with his girlfriend, and it just doesn't. The character doesn't. Ended at 5, bring him back some other time. Dark Avengers, West Coast, whatever.
He was trying to kill Falcon and Bucky in the last scene they were in together.
Yeah,
and then in this scene, he's like, "Hey, let's go fight the Flag Smashers." Da, da, da. Like what? It was.
That's what I'm saying.
Baffling.
If I handed you the script and just said, read this and give me feedback, you would raise a lot of questions, justifiably so. Where the show succeeds is on the emotional beats and the payoffs of some underlying things.
Yeah.
Well, the establishment of Bucky at the beginning of the show is something like, again, it's that emotional connection.
And I wanted a super dark Bucky show, like having to go through some shit.
Well, like when they were in Madripoor and he was forced to do things that it weren't normally in his nature and go back to being the Winter Soldier. That was the stuff I was like, this is good. His psychiatrist is gone after episode 2 and pops up once in 6.
Yeah, but that would have been a great time to have that character almost relapse and show like he couldn't, although he's the White Wolf now, he can always slip back, that he's on this kind of edge. But they're just kind of like, yeah, oh, he's pretending to be Bucky. He's pretending to be Winter Soldier for a second. Now he's not. Okay, everything's fine. Like, what's the point of showing that growth if you're not going to show the possibility he can relapse? In this story, like Bucky's almost like it almost doesn't need to be in it.
I think a difficult thing was the interactions that this Falcon and this Bucky have had in the context of the MCU have been just amazing. You want that buddy cop, or that that opposites attract kind of thing, right? You want that Lethal Weapon, you want that odd couple thing, right? Because it works. But in this show, they kind of lose all that, and they're just like, we don't like each other, and we're, but it's forced tension versus.
Yeah, they try a few times to do that sort of Lethal Weapon buddy comedy action thing, and it goes away. If that was the point of the show, then do it more often. If it's not, then cut it out. Like, it doesn't work. Tonally, this show was not at all what I expected based on the trailers. I was expecting a kind of fun action buddy comedy, and this is almost never hits that point. So I don't know if that's just me misreading those trailers or what. I don't know.
You got to get Toby in on this.
I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting.
Meh.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not.
I like
it's all you, Toby. Like, I'm not hassling you.
Yeah, you are.
I didn't say shit.
Yeah,
I want to know your opinion.
No, I actually enjoyed it. Look, it's got some flaws, but in the end, I really dug it. So, to me, the point of Sam was always like, look, there's other side for things, right? The struggle he has with the money problems he has with his sister and the boat, like restoring the boat, like it correlates to him seeing like other people struggling, right? And these Flag Smashers, whether he was right or wrong, that's how he saw them, right? Therefore, the speech really worked for me in the end. He's seeing things in a different way than other people do, and that's why he's calling out the people in charge. And that worked for me. Maybe I'm a simple person, but it worked. What I didn't like was I I don't want John to come back, but him coming back and kind of redeem himself works for me also. But in a story sense, it like why he came back didn't make any sense. But so I wish that happened like later. So I don't know if they're concerned that people will just write him off and don't want to see him back in like a starring role or like a bigger role down the road. And maybe that's why they did it so early. But yeah, I don't have all the complaints that you guys do. You know, Charlie's point of the Flag Smashers maybe not being portrayed the right way, and I hear rumors that they had a different storyline, that maybe that there was something more to it that they didn't follow through on, that they changed in the last minute.
Yeah, there was some plot about why they were getting those vaccines is because there was supposed to be some like virus.
And again, look, you know,
but I don't know I don't know if that was something they released or
I mean,
it wasn't very clear.
Right, and you change things, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. Like, but look, in the end, I enjoyed the show, and you know, my thing is like, this is kind of like food stuffer, if that makes sense. Like Cap, and well, not Cap, but the last Avengers movie ended with Cap handing him the shield. The normals are going to expect the next Captain America movie, he's Cap, right? We're all into the show and we're watching it and we're maybe enjoying it or not enjoying it, whatever. But if you don't watch the show at all and you watch the next movie, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you expect him to be the Captain America, and in the next movie, which they announced now, he will be, right? So in a way, and, you know, Zemo is back in jail, so if he breaks out of jail again in the next movie, if you didn't see the show, you didn't miss anything. So I don't know if there's further setup that, you know, is happening down the road that they didn't want to, you know, have this impact. But it seems like, you know, this is like They designed the story in a way so that either you could watch it and you get a little more out of it. You get to see, you know, Sam coming in terms of him becoming Captain America, of why he thinks he should be Captain America, which I think was the strongest storyline in this. To become a Captain America, and you know, I feel that's the heart of the story. But you know, in a way, like, you know, if a normal didn't watch the show or didn't never subscribe to Disney Plus and watches the next Captain America movie, it doesn't seem like they missed out that much.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think him getting the shield, him becoming Cap, is all great. You know, I mean, we'll kind of sidetrack for a second here. I think the costume looks neat. It's a tough costume to translate to live action. I know some people complained about the white on the face, that it kind of throws off. I know a lot of people aren't really happy with that, but overall, I think the costume translates well. The wings look cool. Like it's a good look all around.
Look, I'll be truthful with you, right? Like the storyline they went for, I'm happy with. Like, part of me still kind of, like, I don't know. Like I was never big on Sam being Cap. Like, I enjoyed the Brubaker like Cap with Bucky. So personally, I was kind of hoping they somehow steer that way. With the point they're trying to make, and today's society, look, it makes, look, Sam should be Cap, right? But at the time, I was hoping that, you know, maybe it won't end up like what we thought it was going to be. So I was kind of semi-hoping for that. But after episode 5, there was like no going back. It's absolutely, this is going to be Cap. This is the way it's going to go. And this is going to be the future from now on, which is great. You know, I don't have a problem with that. But I was, with the way they started the show, I was semi-hoping that, man, like, it could have been either, you know? And very fastly, it became, that's not the case. But you know.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they never even sort of teetered around the idea of, well, if...
I mean, they teased a little bit.
If Sam wasn't going to be Captain America, why wasn't it sort of... I guess I would have liked to have seen Bucky turn it down at some point, or explain why he couldn't be it.
I think Bucky thinks he's not deserving the shield. That's how. I mean, that's why.
And that's fine. But I think it would have been good for them to have the conversation, and the conversation never came up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
look, in the end, I think the heart of the story is Sam coming with the grasp of him becoming captain, of why he should be captain, and why it's important for him to be Captain America. And that's why the Isaiah Bradley stuff is the strongest stuff in the story.
Yep, I totally agree.
And and that's why I enjoyed the show. Now, I don't mind Baron Zemo being used as a pawn as opposed to be the chess player. Even though he did his own little moves, but I don't mind major character not necessarily being the main character. Like I didn't mind that Zemo was. I actually thought it was really cool that Zemo was part of this, even though they didn't do much with him. Like, I don't mind. This is comic books. Like, how many cameos do you get in comic books where they show up for just some FaceTime? So I actually
I don't know.
Cool.
Considering Zemo was the one who actually took out the remaining super soldier terrorists and stuff, even though he was imprisoned.
Oh, we're
like
not
that.
Zemo.
That all works for me.
Yeah, we're not done. We're not done at Zemo at all. So, wait, you said that didn't work for you, or did?
That did.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, the whole point of sort of establishing who he was outside of Civil War and basically outside of prison makes him more of a player, even though he is in prison.
Yeah, no, I like that, and that's why I really dug his part in the show. Like, like I think some of you guys are saying he shouldn't have been there. I actually dug it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is my current view of Zemo is very different than my view of Zemo at the end of Civil War, especially with what they revealed in this show.
Absolutely.
So saying that there was no point to having him there, even though his character evolved.
I don't think his character evolved. They revealed new information to us. That's not quite the same thing.
I don't know. The way he came across, or the way that I felt he came across in Civil War, was very much a loner. And I'm not saying he's not a loner still, but now he is a...
Well, yes, servants and
yeah,
maybe not necessarily team members, but people that take his orders.
Yeah.
Hey, I was glad, Charlie, I was glad to see him in the show. My point was I just didn't want to begin the show with him in prison and end the show with him in prison. Like, if you're going to break him out, leave him out at the end.
Well, I was
on the loose. Something.
I don't disagree with your point there, but I also don't disagree with Toby's point of, unfortunately, especially considering these are considered part of Phase 4 and stuff, Toby has a good point that it doesn't sound like they've fully committed to being able to radically change things for the movies in these series in a way, which is weird. Like, we'll see what happens with Wanda, with Doctor Strange and stuff, if it feels like you had to have watched WandaVision or whatnot, but it does feel like, from what Toby's been saying...
Well, I mean, with Vision alone, that is and Falcon wasn't Cap. I mean, they could just roll him out, but he wasn't Cap at the end of Endgame. So
no, but
he just rolls out in the costume. People are going to be like, "Oh, where'd he get that?"
Well, but
I know what you mean.
They're not going to question that. The fact that he had the shield, the fact that he has a costume now, it's like nobody questions, why is Iron Man in new armor? Or why did Thor's outfit change a little bit between movies? Like, that's just normal between movie stuff. I agree that it would have been nice if they were a little, like, here's my current expectation, and it's kind of sad. Like, I don't think the Sharon Carter stuff is actually going to come to play in the movies. I think it will come to play in additional series.
Let's
before we go to Sharon Carter, can we... What threw me off about Baron Zemo was weird because he left at the Dora... what were they called? The Black Panther ladies?
Yeah, Dora Milaje.
Yeah. What I don't understand is how do you end up in like that prison again? Wasn't that an American prison?
Yeah, the rafts in New York. Oh, that was the question we asked. Why the hell would they take him to the raft?
Isn't the raft in some international waters?
Yeah.
Is it? I thought it was in New York.
It's out in the middle of the ocean, because remember in Civil War when Tony Stark went there to find out where they had gone to Siberia.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in the middle of the ocean.
So
I think it's in New York in the comics.
I don't understand why they were so keen on getting him. Just put him back into that place. I kind of figured they would take him to Wakanda and like take the skin off or something.
Yeah, you and everyone else. That's why I said, why the fuck would they take him to the raft?
Right. Sorry.
How do they even know the raft exists?
No, I didn't realize that's what the raft was. I didn't put two and together. I'm sorry.
Wakandan technology.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is if they're somehow trying to put him in the same place as Thunderbolt Ross for some future payoff, is why you put him on the raft.
Is Ross?
Ross runs the raft as of, well, I don't know who knows anymore. As of Civil War, that was his kind of pet prison.
But he was not in jail, though, right?
No, he was the warden.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Was he the warden, or was he just there? The administrator. Yeah. Warden may be the wrong word.
Well, then the Thunderbolts thing kind of makes sense coming down the pipeline.
We'll kind of get over to Sharon Carter here in a second, but I do want to kind of wrap back around a little bit to the Falcon stuff, because I do want my feelings to be put across properly here. I think there's good in the show. I think there's good messages. I think there's good ideas. I think the execution and story beats are lacking in significant scenes. And that, to me, diminishes the goal they're trying to accomplish with this show. The end result might be the same, but I feel like the kind of nitty gritty of the show does not do justice to the transition of Falcon to Winter Soldier, or from Falcon to Captain America. I feel like he deserves slightly better. In the comics, clearly Falcon was never going to be Captain America any longer than anyone else was. In the movies, it's a very different question. He could be 2 movies. He could be 20 years. We don't know, right? I wish the story was stronger. I wish his rationale was stronger for his first major kind of stance. Toby, everything you said, I 100% agree with. Not having a home, being an outsider, the system being broken against him, I understand all that. I think, and I don't speak for Kevin or Brock or anyone else or some of these reviews or anything, but I feel like a lot of us are on the same page. It's not the message, it's the content of what he's trying to get us to relate to. So, trying to make the problems of refugees is a very strong one, and I totally agree with it. In the real world, I totally agree with it. But in this, if you have a bunch of refugees going around and saying, we like the world better when half the world's population was dead, and they start killing people, you're really struggling to get people on your side, I feel. This isn't Star Wars where it's literally the Emperor and Darth Vader, and he's in all black, and clearly they're the cartoon bad guys. I love Star Wars, but I mean, Star Wars is, could not be more simple of a story. They were going for a deeper, more nuanced, difficult story, and that's where I feel they failed. But I think the messaging is good. I think the attempt is good. I just think they overreached. There was in one of the in that Rolling Stone article, Kevin, there was a I did actually. I don't remember who was this. I don't know if it's in here or one of the other articles. I read a great line that the show felt politically naive, and that really summed it up for me. I think that's a great line, because the just saying one world, one people 12 times does not make an argument. They really did not do a good enough job of giving us a reason why these things are what the GRC is doing that is bad. If your comparison is, we're trying to help people that returned after being dead for 5 years, and we got to figure out where everyone goes, and it's only been 6 months, and this is a massive international coalition, but are they any worse than Thanos, or are they any better than Thanos? Like, that is not a comparison that that works in any fashion. So again, I get the intent. I get what they were going for. I applaud them for trying, but it didn't work. But they failed.
And I think it didn't work because we've talked about this before, is the show needed to be most likely a little bit longer for them to tell the story that they wanted to tell.
It didn't know what it wanted to be.
Well, yeah, and we don't know if the people that are Flag Smashers are people that blipped and came back.
No, we do. No, they weren't. No.
Well, no,
they were people that did not blip. That's what all the people in the refugee camps were like. They were like, we're basically getting kicked out of the places we were in because we have to return from where we came from.
Yeah, it's to me, it's one of those, like, I think so if we look at WandaVision for a second, the opening scene in WandaVision, or at least the opening scene for reality in WandaVision, is we see Monica Rambeau blip or come back, right? Like, we see the chaos of what's going on when everybody's coming back.
That was a great scene,
right?
But that scene where she comes back, you're not like, oh shit, the person whose job I have just came back from being dead after 5 years and the world's in chaos. Better start killing people so they go away again. Like,
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, we don't see anybody here before what was happening before people came back. I mean, even to a point of, like, we don't even see the struggles that they were having, like, before the blip, right? We see none of that. We know none of that. All we know is that, yeah, these people liked life when there was less people, and they want to go back to the way things were, and we're trying not to make it sound like a cult, but it's more feels like a cult.
No, they're not saying so. All that this really comes down to is they were welcomed in somewhere, they were living somewhere, then everybody else came back and there was no longer room for them, so they were kicked out. It's the idea of all these borders were opened and stuff because, naturally so, less people means more housing, more jobs, more this to get things up and running again. And then when everybody came back, it became well, we said you could live here, but now we don't have room for you, so get out. And that's what radicalized this movement, is all these people who had made a life for themselves in those 5 years now being told that their sacrifices and stuff didn't matter.
Yeah, they even said it in the show. They even said it in the show, like, they care more about the people that came back than the people that were there to begin with.
Yeah.
But that is
But it would have been good argument to have a scene to really show what they lost. I agree with.
But again, that argument comes back to where I say politically naive, because to me, that is a wicked, complicated situation. Mm-hmm. And there is no right or wrong on either side of that. And trying to paint the Flag Smashers as, we're being, taken advantage of. It's like, well, look at the other people. They're dead and they came back to life and you're living in their house. I would tell you to get the fuck out of my house too. Like that's not an argument that I think a lot of people are gonna back the other side on. So while I understand what they're trying to do, but there is no right or wrong answer, and especially when you're like, well, not only do I not want to leave, I'm also going to start killing people. You really are going to lose the vast, 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 vast majority of people.
Yes.
So,
And that's where I feel like they were trying to, if they had a better explainable end goal, if they had some sort of...
Well, they did. Their goal was kill half the people on Earth. Get back to the way things were during the blip, when half the people were dead.
See,
that's what they said. And
I did not do a rewatch. But I don't remember any particular time where they were just like, we just need to kill half the population. I saw a lot of times where they were kind of like, we need to stop these people from putting back up the borders and such.
They said we need to go back to the way things were during the blip. That means half the population gone. Like I said, if they walk out, quit and choir, and they're wearing "They Knows What Was Right" t-shirts, I can understand
but
that. I disagree
here's
with
the
it
distinction
clearly.
that I'm saying. When they're saying they should go back to the way things were, to me, that's more about the open borders, them being kind of welcome.
I agree with Charlie.
Because at no point were they doing a master plan to wipe out large amounts of people.
I mean, this is almost like the same time like why we argued over Killmonger so much, right? Because desperation drives you to do desperate stuff, whether they're right or wrong. In this case, they're wrong, but if you're desperate, you do things that, are either, morally not right or wrong completely, right? So,
of course. Sure.
I mean, I don't disagree with you in terms of they absolutely killed people and whatnot in the name of their cause, but I don't get the impression, if their story arc had been releasing some virus that would wipe out half the population, I totally agree with you. But what we got in the actual show, their eventual end goal was, yes, stealing some vaccines that we don't really know what was for, and then basically going after the people that were going to decide on putting back up the borders and kicking all these people out. But
half those people were on their side, right? Half those people were half the people in that international coalition that were on the GRC, they were like, we can't just do this. We have to figure out a way. So they were on their side, almost all of them. That one dickhead wasn't, but he was the only one. So they were going to kill all of them. And I'm like, again, that is not a relatable. I know what they're trying to do, but
as I said, that's where I agree with you that they failed there. If it was a matter of kidnapping them so they could explain their side because there was no other way to get them to listen, I'd be completely on board with Sam's argument. But the second they're trying to push the things off the cliff and that kind of stuff, yeah, you lose all sort of sympathy for
and Falcon's kind of argument there, almost comes down to you better not piss these people off, because if they get radicalized and kill you, that's your fault. Well, that's a bizarre take.
But that's where I feel like they didn't do a good job of communicating what they were going to. The way Falcon talked about him, the way that kind of stuff kind of gets more into the peaceful protesters versus rioters kind of thing.
Sure.
And I think, unfortunately, this made it way too clear that these were actual terrorists and that kind of stuff. So having his speech come off the way it was, I agree with you, didn't work as well. But I don't blame that in sort of the speech. I blame that in, again, the writing and such, because I feel like they wanted to make the Flag Smashers a Captain America level threat, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
But what they really need to be is a sympathetic group kind of thing. And that's where...
If it was, we're escalating, we're various members are threatening violence, if it gets to that point, things are going to blow up and get out of control forever. And both groups, both Carly and Falcon Winter Soldier, are trying to stop the rogue element within her group from doing this, then I'd be totally in agreement. But making her no, I'm the one that's radicalized and I'm the one that's killing everyone, and all her, and like
No,
her friends even like, why did you do this? She's like, this is war. It's like
the problem with it is they were trying to radicalize her in the middle of the show. Right, you have Zemo basically going, and she'll do this, and she'll end up being this, and you won't be able to. And it's like they're radicalizing her in the middle of the show, and saying you need to sympathize.
It even comes down to like if you take this speech away, it's the same way Sam was refusing to fight her before that. Like at some point, it's very hard to sympathize with Sam's position when Carly's not acting like somebody who's really been pushed to these extremes or that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like Sam always approached her like somebody who could be redeemed. And for some reason, she always responded to Sam to some degree as somebody who could be redeemed, but only with Sam. Like every other scene, and even that last scene where she's fighting him, and he keeps saying, I'm not going to fight you. They don't really show this person who feels like they can be redeemed.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Sharon Carter. Let's talk about the worst fucking plot of this entire show. Why?
Ryan, I've got an assignment for you, Ryan. One double-space page, you explain the storyline that got Sharon Carter from where we last saw her to being the power broker.
Fucking who? So I went from going like, who the fuck cares who the power broker is, to what? Why?
Yeah. It's and then it's like, why is she now radicalized against the U.S. government? Like,
Falcon's like, I can fix this. No, I'm the power broker now. How? Why? When? What? Like literally every question.
Well, even that as a name of a villain is just like, why don't you just call it Mr. Big? I mean, it's so terrible.
They clearly forgot to put CG effect of her turning half Skrull when she walks out in the last scene, because that's the only explanation.
Oh, that phone call was awful.
When she walks out and she's walking away and she's kind of got that smirk on her face, I'm like, Skrull face, any second now, half Skrull face, her eyes are going to turn green.
If that happened in Secret Invasion, would you forgive this?
I would not forgive this. I would say they realize how badly they fucked up and they're fixing it. Because if it was going to happen, it would have happened here.
Well, I mean, that whoever she's calling at the end, whichever of her operatives she's calling at the end on that phone, that was something out of a script of Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
That was there was like no craft to it, no intrigue or mystery. It's just like, well, now we've got access to this and this and this and this. Alert all the buyers. It's like, put your pinky to the corner of your mouth next and just laugh as the credits roll.
Hydra's coming back, baby.
Good.
That's such a weird. So it can actually, someone with better MCU knowledge can let me know. When did Hydra go away? Like, people got all fucked up, but like Hydra didn't go away, did it?
Wasn't it only in World War II?
No. Hydra infiltrated.
Oh, they were right. They were in Winter Soldier. Yeah,
and then they spent Age of Ultron like tracking him down and destroying bases and all that stuff. But the weird thing is like, but Sharon's not part of Hydra. It like her entire story arc. Like if you watch those little like catch up things that that Disney Plus puts out about each character, like watch Sharon Carter's, and it's all she does is help. All she does is do like, Nick Fury told me to do this. Like, I'm doing this. And then it's like, in here, she's like, yeah. And then they left me high and dry after the blip. Huh?
Yeah. Like, I legitimately do not remember much of Sharon Carter's plot prior to this, but I sure as hell don't remember her. Like, she's just like, after the blip, I went to Madripoor and became the #1 person in Madripoor.
Like, why weren't you?
And now I'm the villain.
Steve? Like,
again, this is the problem. How? Why? When? What happened? You didn't even try to explain it. At least in the other scenes, even though it was just a bunch of telling, at least they told us. This she's just like, I did this. Huh? How? She's like, oh, I just walked to the Madripoor and became the most feared crime lord ever because I stole one piece of artwork.
Huh?
What? It makes no fucking sense. No fucking sense.
Oh, you know what it is? It's
sure, like totally. Look, if it's the entire senior group in Madripoor are all Skrulls. I keep saying Skrulls, but the Skrulls are, I guess, good guys in this. I still don't believe that.
There's a fringe group that will be Hydra-like of the Skrulls.
Sure. If like the Skrulls all infiltrated Madripoor and they just made her the head because why not? Then that sure I can buy that. But like as it stands, like
so this
no
is
sense.
I know exactly what happened to Sharon, and I'll tell you what it's the Dread Pirate Roberts story. So she gets captured in Madripoor, and the power broker's like,
I'm out.
One day I'm going to kill you. Or I might kill you today. And then they work. I didn't kill you today. I'm going to kill you tomorrow. Oh, I'm retiring. I am not you're now the power broker. Yeah, I'm like, that like, I'm like, it's like if it's not Skrulls, they're gonna, and it's like because I don't understand.
I take that over the explanation we're giving in the show. I'll take literally any explanation over the no explanation we got from the show.
And to me it was funny because it's like, all right, we have this shootout. She kills Carrie, and then they just leave her. Falcon just leaves her to make his entrance with a body.
Who? They kill who?
Callie, the flag smasher girl.
Oh.
Carly.
Sorry, you said her name and I couldn't think of what her name was anymore. Yeah.
No, well, you see Sharon in there with a gut. She's been gut shot, right? Or shot in the
she's
stomach?
shot in the gut, and it's like Falcon leaves her to just do this, let me fly in on wings carrying this body, and then it's like Bucky and them meet up with her as she's bleeding out on the side of a vehicle, and you're like, what the living shit is this? Like,
oh, my boy. What about Batrock? They did him dirty. What the fuck was that about? Batrock is great. How you just kill him like that? What the fuck was that all about? Why'd they do it? What a waste. Hey, we're going to bring back Batrock. Hell yeah. Oh, no, he's dead. Well, why? What the fuck was the point of that?
He's not dead. It's to say he's not dead.
They shot him.
No, it's going to be the same thing. He's not dead. They'll bring him back.
Ryan, I didn't understand, or somebody, when he found out Sharon was the power broker, he said, great, now you're going to pay me 4 times what you promised. But I was just going, why? Why does that affect your price? It's the same job. You were hired for the same job. It's not like...
Wait, and he was hired to kill Falcon, but he already wants to kill Falcon. So what? Like...
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so bad. I think that sums up every time an episode stopped, I was just like it was.
Yeah.
You wanted something out of it, and there were moments in the show that were amazing and great, and I liked it. But there were other parts of that I'm like, what the fuck was this?
If you have the chance, go back and rewatch them all in one or all in 2 sittings. Again, I think some problems I have are fixed or made better. I think too many parts of the show, just as you discuss them, you're like, but this doesn't make sense. But now that I'm talking about it, this doesn't make sense. Which I guess is a great way to end. We'll end with the news that came out that they're making a 4th Captain America movie, and Falcon's going to be kept. Well, I call him Falcon.
Falcon.
Sorry, he's going to be Falcon for quite some time. He is going to be Captain America in this movie. So, yay! That's cool. That's great. I want to see what they can do with this. It's the same people, so that's a little concerning. It's the same showrunner and writer,
but they're on the movie now, so it should be good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they got the plot out of the way, so now it's just gonna be a cool action movie with Falcon. Like, that's neat. Like, I don't. Of course, I want to see this. I'll watch 100 movies with this guy. We'll see what they can do. I will say that I am a little concerned for the MCU TV shows. I overall really enjoyed WandaVision, but I have a couple problems. I was expecting definitely a much stronger show with Falcon and Winter Soldier. The vast majority of the movies, I think, are good to great. I'd say the TV shows are kind of split right now. So
Loki's the tiebreaker.
Loki, I had high hopes for. I am now trying to
temper that.
I'm trying to just adjust my expectations and hope Loki is good.
Yep.
I have already expressed my concerns about What If. I think the animation looks fucking horrible, and that is going to be a major problem for me. I'm going to have a very difficult time with What If.
We already know
and I have a natural
your potential problem with Hawkeye, so.
And based on what they're basing Hawkeye on, my natural predilection is to have massive problems with Hawkeye because I was not a fan of the Fraction run. What little I read of it, I did not care for that take on Hawkeye or that the way that story was told. It's great people involved. Just I greatly disliked the first couple issues, and I did not follow it past that. So I'm
kind of the opposite with you right now, and part of this just has to do with the fact that I'm more excited for Loki just because I kind of, and I could be completely wrong, but I kind of feel like they might be done with Loki in the movies, which means they can do whatever they want to do with him in the series.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel that way about some of the other series as well, where I don't know if they plan to pass this character off into the movies, and if that's not directly planned, it means they have a certain amount of freedom doing stuff in the show that they wouldn't necessarily do if for sure they needed to make sure that they were ready for a movie audience.
Well, I think I said this last week or recently. I am actually way more excited for the original shows. She-Hulk, Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because those are going to be completely their own thing. And while they're going to be involved in the MCU and they could be in the movies and yada, 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 they have their own story to tell that's not a chapter in a greater thing.
Well, we're going to get those. We're going to get that feeling that we got with Iron Man, First Avenger.
That's
like
that's
Thor,
final.
like that, like Ant-Man,
Phase 1 style.
Yeah, every time we saw all the introductions, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, Thor, Iron Man.
All
Cap,
the first movies are every single first movie is great.
Yeah,
there's not a single one. Every single first movie is great.
Well, Doctor Strange it's the weak one.
Maybe the weak link, but it's still like a B+ for me. Like,
because
I like
it was
Doctor
so
Strange
late in it. I think we talked about that before.
Yeah, I mean, Black Panther and Doctor Strange I have a couple little problems with, but nothing major.
Well, Black Panther is still a solid movie. Like,
yeah, Black Panther's good. Yeah.
So I don't. It's we'll have to see. I mean, for me, I'm just like, I mean, Tom Hiddleston, right?
Tom Hiddleston. Yeah.
Hiddleston, sorry. I love him as Loki. Like, he's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Of course.
So it's like I'm like, as long as he gets to be Loki in that show, it should be amazing, right? You know, not Loki from the Thor Ragnarok stuff, but you know, Loki in the good stuff.
He's still great in that.
There's more butted jokes in that.
It is a pre-Dark World Ragnarok Loki. Like, this is right after Avengers, basically.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be, like, for me, this is like, I shouldn't have to have any of that forced humor Loki.
So I don't really consider it forced humor, but that's okay. But as I said, for me, what really will make or break this show is, are they trying to set up something new for the movies because they do plan to keep using Loki in the movies, or is this going to be its own separate thing they can just have fun with, and therefore they're not bound to return stuff to a ready for the next movie state.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, he's just coming back to that moment, and this is the pocket that we see in between.
Yeah, I would expect they'll keep this to its own little universe. Yeah. So, all right. Toby, any parting thoughts? You awake? Still there? He's muted. That's about right. He's laying on the floor, passed out, screaming about something. Who knows? It's Toby. You gotta love Toby. Gotta love Toby in this shape. I'm sure he fell asleep recording. That's fine. That's all right. He's muted, so that's the most important part. He's not snoring or anything like that on the podcast. Thank you all for listening. He's just
yelling at you, and you just
doesn't realize he's still muted.
He's been muted. He's trying to unmute himself, and just the button doesn't work. And he's like, "God damn it, they can't hear me."
No, but somehow it's all your fault.
Of course. Thank you all for listening. God, please, the Facebook group thread, be gentle, folks. Be gentle. I've already had enough. So we will catch everyone next week. Let's get out of here. I got a couple little things to read on my way out. Nope, that's not the right folder. That's the right folder. We have to thank our good friends Joe Duff, Jesse Peterson over at the Comic Book Matters podcast, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, and Craig Anderson over at Clear Path Coaches. Please go check all those guys out and listen to their podcast and hire Craig to be your awesome business coach. ComicSpiracyPodcast.com is where you can find all our previous episodes, as well as Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you head over to comicsconspiracy.biz, that is where you can buy some comic books from us, buy some graphic novels, get them picked up at the store, ship, whatever you want. If you want to check out conspiratorbrock.com, that's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos over there. You can check out his work when he puts stuff up. Wanders in the Fourth Dimension podcast is Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. Don't miss the weekly interview series Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. That's Kevin's weekly series of interviews with comic creators. And check out leannehill.com. It's my wife, Leanne's website and her Etsy shop over at etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. I can say those words. Also, follow us all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Best Basement, BES Basement. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is That Kevin Sharp. The store is Comics Con Store. And check out Geekbox. Talked about a little bit about Falcon and Winter Soldier this week. Final Fantasy 14 talk. Oh, and Mortal Kombat. Oh, Toby.
Okay.
He's muted.
You and Justin can talk about your dislike of Mortal Kombat while me and Ryan stand there.
I'm generally worried for Shang-Chi.
And throw ice at each other and be like, "Get over here, fatality!"
Look,
you're really bad at that.
Mortal Kombat was
I liked
great.
a lot of it in there. It's just like it didn't work for me story-wise, but hey, it seems like they got sequels lined up. I didn't realize.
I'm gonna watch it tomorrow night.
Yeah, they're gonna have the Mortal Kombat in the sequel. I would assume.
Joe Tasman supposedly is like signed on for like 4 movies. I was like, holy shit!
The Mortal Kombat cinematic universe.
Well, yeah, because they're gonna do Mortal Kombat, so they're gonna have like each person has their own video or own movie.
But I'm worried for Shang-Chi. Same writer.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, as also screenplay for Wonder Woman 84.
Oh,
huh.
Yeah.
There you go. And check out Manga Modifications. Our friends talk about manga and anime. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast. See you there.